Hi everyone, this video is an introduction to sacred places in London. I'm going to talk through the topics in the contents here and put timestamps below. I've got a few videos on my channel going more depth into some of the places I'll talk about, and I do intend to make some more as well. So this video is really just an overview and a good starting point for visiting or researching some of these sites yourselves. So we'll start with what are sacred places. I look at this at 3 levels. So level 1 is the earth energy of the place if we took away all the man-made structures. So in London, first we look at the topography, which is the hills to the north and the south. And then we look at the rivers. So obviously the main river is the Thames, but then flowing from these hills to the north and south, we have all these tributaries along which we have springs and wells popping up, which I'll talk about in this video as well. And then we move on to look at the ancient structures. So these are the pre-Roman, prehistoric sites, often holy places as well. And these include wells, stone circles, mounds, like these Bronze Age mounds in Greenwich Park. Mounds can be natural or man-made. Barrows, which are burial sites, other types of stones, and ancient paths and tracks. And then the third level that we look at is the modern structures, often built on top of these more ancient sites at level 2, such as temples. So an example is St. Paul's Cathedral, which was built on top of previous churches and places of worship dating back to prehistoric times. So structures built on specific sites such as ley lines are built there to harness, channel, and connect with areas of high earth energy. Okay, so when you're visiting some of the sites that I'm going to talk about in this video, this is just some guidance for how to approach the sites. So first of all, walk the ley line or visit the site yourself. And as you're doing so, just be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and sensations as you tune into the energy there. At certain places, you'll want to just be still and meditate and be open-minded and listen to what the site is telling you. And I'd also say go to these places and find out for yourself. You can hear what I say or other people say. You can read about these sites, but going there yourself, you'll get a specific message for you. And also you can get different messages from these places if you visit them multiple times, depending on what you need to hear in that moment. When you visit these sites, always show respect. So request to enter them before you go in and just take a moment to hear the response. And when you leave, thank the site for your visit, show gratitude, and thank them on leaving. Showing respect will enhance your experience. So what are we hoping to get when we visit these sacred sites? Guidance, messages, insights connecting with your spirituality and intuition, and also healing. So the right attitude to approach these sites with is, above all, gratitude, which really lifts your frequency, love, peace and peace of mind, and wishing for the highest good of all. Okay, so first topic is London ley lines. There are ley lines everywhere, but these are the specific ones that I've heard about going through London. So the first one is the Coronation Ley Line. This has been written about by someone called Zachary Denman, and this passes through Hampton Court, Westminster and St. Paul's. So all locations linked to royalty. I can't find much else out about this line or a detailed map, but you can look up Zachary Denman and find more information. Second one is the Canterbury Ley Line. This is written about by David Furlong on his website, and it broadly follows the old Roman road of Watling Street through Greenwich, past Shooters Hill, Bermondsey, it goes through Downing Street as well. Again, I can't find any other information on this particular ley line, but you may want to research it yourself. Number 3 is Strand ley lines. So there's a good map of this below here. That's also from David Furlong. And this passes through a lot of churches. So it starts at St James's Palace, through St Bart's, and then out through this holy well, which pops up in a lot of different sources, and also Arnold Circus in East London. There's another one which I'm going to talk more about in a moment, but written about by Stephen Saller. He also does walks along this ley line and has written a book called Dark Lines of London set along this line. And there's some other central lines as well. So this is the map of some of the other lines. You can see significant locations, mostly in the City of London, a bit to the south, and also Westminster. And the lines connecting them, and some of the significant sites. So the point I want to make here is that even though these are ancient sites, the energy of the sites and the ley lines is just as present and just as active today. Even though some of these sites don't exist on surface anymore, some of them have been built over or demolished, the energy is still there. So again, this is from David Furlong's website. Now, I want to talk a bit more about this ley line because it's one I've walked recently. As I said, this guy Stephen does guided walks along this ley line, and I believe he's the one who made all the connections between the sites. So I'll just briefly tell you about some of the sites along it. I found this a really powerful line, like the sites, and also just walking the line, the energy that carried between them was very palpable. So you can walk in either direction. I started in Blackheath. So we have the All Saints Church here on the edge of Blackheath, and then you follow along this footpath, following the Ley, which goes into Greenwich Park. And when you're in Greenwich Park, the line is going straight down here through these 2 towers of the Naval College. And as I was walking through, I realised walking through these towers is a portal. You're walking through a portal. So that's a really powerful point. If you do this, or even just go to this location and walk through, have a question in mind, or really see what you pick up as you walk through, because it's strong there. While you're in Greenwich, I'd recommend making a little detour off the ley line in the park, going to this site here. There is an information board, and I've made a separate video on this. It's just a mound now, but there was a Roman temple on the site, and probably something prehistoric before that. So this is a really high energy spot here. And then you follow the Ley, follow the path under the River Thames, and it takes you out to the Isle of Dogs. And can I just point out this picture here? So look at the light shining on the triangle on the side of this building. I think that's no accident that it catches the light like that. So pyramids and triangles are these powerful symbols. And as you know, we've got the One Canada Square pyramid on top of this building, right in the centre of Canary Wharf. So you'll spot both of these as you keep walking. And the really interesting thing is this omphalos. I'd never heard of it before, but this is just between Mudchute and Cross Harbour DLR stations. It's actually closer to Cross Harbour. So walk up from Cross Harbour towards the Asda, and just before the Asda, there's a little path, and you go through a wooden gate, and you come to this. There's no signage. I can find no information about it, apart from what's on Stephen's information about these walks in the book, The Dark Lines of London. But legend has it that John Dee, who was like the sort of astrologer or seer or sort of magic man to Queen Elizabeth I, went to this location, which is on this peninsula sticking out into the Thames, and summoned up a demon to conjure up the British Empire. And there are some of his kind of tools in the British Museum. So there's what's that black stone? I think it's a black obsidian sort of looking glass type thing for searing, and also his crystal ball. So that might be worth a visit as well. So anyway, check this out. Stand in it, see what you get. You can imagine before all the buildings there, the views you would get out of the Thames and over South London. Oh, so this is that gate you walk through. That's the omphalos there. This is this footpath. Go through the gate, and there it is. And then you follow the ley line up to Limehouse, and then you get to St Anne's Church, which is a Hawksmoor church. So Hawksmoor was a student of Sir Christopher Wren, and there are a number of his churches in London. Ian Sinclair, if you look him up, has videos about and information about Hawksmoor churches. And there's this pyramid with very little information about it, none actually, except the writing on it in the churchyard. So on the side, it just says the Wisdom of Solomon. So the Wisdom of Solomon is also known as the Book of Wisdom. It's a Jewish text which was written in Greek, just urging rulers of the earth to seek wisdom. And then the ley line carries up to Queen Mary's College up at Mile End. So that's just some highlights. I would look up his walk, like Stephen Saller on his Substack page has a version of the walk that you can print out and do. And as I say, it's powerful and really worthwhile. So that's that. Next topic I want to talk about is wells and springs. So springs pop up particularly along the course of the River Fleet, and they talk about London clay. So it's clay soil with gravel on top, which apparently leads to these springs popping up. And wells are sunk where the springs are for a continuous supply of water. And it's significant because the water from these springs is believed to have healing qualities. So I'm just going to go through some of the wells and sites of wells that you might like to visit. First one is the Clark's Well in EC4, and this is one that you can go into and visit. I went in with a guide from Islington Guides because I believe they all have keys, because it's in an office block behind a locked door. You can see it from the street, but if you can get in there with one of the guides, you can read the information and get a much better view of this well. So the building's called Wells Court. It's just here on Farringdon Lane, and it's called the Clark's Well because there are a lot of Clarks in that area, and that's how it got its name. Just while you're in this area, so if you're there, go over to Ray Street, and there's a grate in the ground, and you can see and hear the River Fleet, which has been built over but is still there, flowing underneath. And there's a few other locations around the Hatton Garden area where there are little grates and you can see and hear the River Fleet. All right, second one is the Holy Well in Aldwych, which is in the basement of Australia House. So here's a picture of it. All this information I've got is from this article from ABC News. So it says the well is one of 20 throughout London that have been covered over. It is still accessible. I don't know if you can see it if you just walk in there or if it's in some special place where you have to get permission. So Australia House has been there just over 100 years. It refers to David Furlong talking about holy wells or sacred healing springs, which date back to Celtic times. It goes on here to say that the Fleet is now covered. It was a useful river at first, but then became very polluted. There'd been ideas about, it being like a canal in Venice with buildings along the sides, but was too polluted, so it was covered over. And that Farringdon Road is the course of the river. All right, third spring is the St Clement Danes Holy Well. It's in the garden of the Royal Courts of Justice in the Strand, so the location is here. You can't actually see the well anymore. There's just this kind of sign, and this is what's written on it, just saying that there was a well there. And it's really close to Australia House, so these might be two good ones to visit at the same time. And also near Temple, which is a very high energy City of London area. So lots to see around here. All right, fourth well is Sadler's Well. So this is in the Sadler's Well Theatre, which is a dance theatre in Islington. And it was believed to be holy water. Spa fields sprung up around it. So I took this picture of an information board there. The mineral spring was discovered in 1683. So people went and visited there. It was in London. Obviously, there were other wells and like spa locations around England, but this one was really central. Now, you can't actually see the well, but on the side of the theatre, there's this Thames Water sign giving Thames Water people access. So I guess they're, managing the spring. Springs, give a continuous supply of water. All right, fifth one is the Holy Well in EC2. So on this David Furlong map, it's really significant. We've got a lot of ley lines spreading out and making connections, particularly with churches, from this well. So it was links to the Walbrook River, which is the second. You've got the Fleet and the Walbrook in the City of London. There was a priory here, so there was a church. So again, high energy location. But yeah, I don't know what you can see of it there, but it was a significant site. All right, sixth one is St Bride's Well, which is on Fleet Street. This is a church really worth visiting, very high energy. It's on the Strand Ley Line. It's called St Bride's because there was an ancient shrine dedicated to the Celtic goddess Bridget. The well is now just underground, but there's this tree here, which is near where the well would have been, which might indicate healing energies. So here's an old map of the well at St Bride's. There we've got the River Fleet going down, and this is the Fleet Street. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, which is mounds. So mounds around London. The book with a lot of information about this is by E.O. Gorman from 1914, called Prehistoric London, Its Mounds and Circles, and in it, it mentions these four, what it calls Druidic mounds. We've got Tot Hill in Westminster, which is here. I don't think the mound's there anymore, but Tot Hill Street, which is this street, marks its location, and this would have been the London end of the old Watling Street, so very old ancient Roman road. And these old roads, the Roman roads, were built on, worn tracks and paths from prehistoric people, which were generally built on paths took routes of good energy. I read a story that said the good energy of the paths would frighten away wild animals. Okay, so the second significant mound is the White Mound, which the White Tower at the Tower of London is built on Tower Hill. Then we've got Parliament Hill at Hampstead Heath. And this one here, which is Penton, again near Sadler's Wells. So check that out if you're in the area looking at the well. Apparently there would have been a stone circle on top. So it is a very hilly area, like it's really steep when you walk down from Islington down into the City of London. So you get to the highest point, that's where the stone circle would have been. And apparently Druids would have used the stone circle and done astronomy and scrying, looking into the surface of the water at the well at Sadler's Wells. So Pen means head and Ton means sacred mound. So clearly this was a place of importance. And actually nearby in Islington, we've got a Merlin Street and a Merlin's Cave pub. And there's an old map that says that the area had a feature called Merlin's Cave, which may be accessible through the pub. I think I read something about some door or tunnel in the pub leading somewhere. It could be this cave. So apparently there's an underground cave in this area, like temples and old churches in Europe had, for the practice of Mithraic mysteries. And Mithraism pops up a lot in the city of London as well. So I've just written here, the cult of Mithraeus was a Roman mystery or secret religion whose knowledge was limited to initiates. So initiates had to go through different levels of rites. The organisation had a focus on benevolence, so charity work, and was male only, and all based on the god Mithras. So question is Freemasonry a modern version of the cult of Mithras? Interesting. So they're those four main mounds mentioned in this book. There's also Arnold's Circus, which if I just click back, Arnold's Circus is here on the David Furlong, Sacred Sites Ley Lines map. So it's near Brick Lane. I've read that it's not an ancient hill. It's just modern, and it was just like earth that was built up into a hill. But on the side, there was a nunnery, which was part of St. John's Priory, which is nearby in Clerkenwell. So I get a sense it is an area of strong earth energy. Another mount I came across was Whitechapel Mount. Now, this is a picture of it near the Royal London Hospital. It was demolished in 1807, but for a mount to be built there, could this be a high energy area? Not that much pops up specifically in the Whitechapel area, but you may want to look into that some more. All right, next topic is stones. So this comes up a lot in research of sacred places all over, but in London as well. So first stone is the London stone, sometimes referred to as the Druid stone or the Roman stone. It was in the wall of a building at 111 Cannon Street, and then I believe that was being rebuilt. So then it was in the Museum of London here. This is from 2018. And I believe that's not the whole stone. I think there was more to it. Now the museum is shut down. It's reopening somewhere else. I believe the stone is now in the foyer of the new building on this site in Cannon Street, but I'm not 100% sure at the moment. So yes, the London stone, lots of legends around that. Then we have the King Stone, which is in Kingston down in southwest London. That was a coronation stone, so Saxon kings were crowned on it, and that's a picture of it here in Kingston. Then we've got the area in North London of Harrow and Wealdstone. So this is the Wealdstone. It's a sarsen stone, which is a standing stone. So it says here it was to mark a boundary, and it can be found near this restaurant. So you may want to check that out. We've also got Leighton Stone. So this refers to an ancient stone on Leighton Flats. I found this picture here, and it says the bottom bit, the high stone of Leighton Stone was a milestone, and it would have again marked out a border similar to the one in North London. Then we have Brixton. So Brixigger's stand means stone. This area was named after this stone, which would have been important. And I also read about Oswald Stone at Marble Arch. So the stone isn't there anymore, but Marble Arch had the Tyburn gallows. So it was a place of execution, which I'm thinking did bad energy in that area. I mean, Marble Arch, it's just the end of Oxford Street. It's sort of a transitional area, passing through area. But it says the site was important a millennium before the gallows were in full swing, thanks to the junction of Roman roads, so Edgware Road and Oxford Street. This is where Oswald Stone was. They don't know the origins of it. May have been a Roman milestone or pre-Roman. So there's some information about that here at this website. Okay, next topic is the City of London. I've got 2 other videos in this. I'm not going to go into it a whole lot, but I wanted to mention it here. The City of London is so high energy. It's a city in itself, apart from the rest of London. It is a place of myth, power, history. Have a look at the videos if you want to know more. My ideas for visiting, something I've done recently is walking the whole boundary. So that's an old tradition called beating the bounds, where parish church members of the congregation would go out and tap sticks along the boundaries of the parish. But, you can pick up a lot walking along here. Go into the parks. A lot of the parks in the city are old churchyards. And again, churches, high energy locations, really good places to sit, meditate, heal, get guidance in the parks. It's very peaceful in the city, especially on weekends, like very quiet. Go to the high points. So hills, you've got Aldgate Hill, Tower Hill, and Cornhill, which are not really tall hills. But then we've got the new hills, which are the skyscrapers. It's taking you a bit away from the earth energy, but I do wonder if these tall buildings, like the Shard as well, are built to, tune into ley lines and earth energy underneath and amplify it. So these are some good viewpoints. Just go up. You get great views of London, and it helps put all of this in perspective. So Horizon 22, you've got to book in advance. I think you can turn up on the day, but booking in advance will get you straight in. Garden at 120. And one new change, they're not so high, but you do get a good view, and Sky Garden as well. There's also walks you can do between the city churches. So walk the city churches, go in and visit them. They're built on high energy points. Yeah. So this is a picture of one of the city gardens. I think that's Postman's Park. Okay. Next part is just some other high energy places of interest, places where you can really tune in, pick things up, all over London that I wanted to mention. So I'm just going to whiz through the list, and you may want to look some more into some of these. So first of all, the big one for me, number 1 in London, St Paul's Cathedral. The one before it was a wooden building burnt down in the Great Fire of London. But before that, going back, years and years and years, it's on top of the hill, would have been a prehistoric, high energy place of religious worship, healing, and so on. And just the River Thames. We're talking about ley lines and rivers. There's a huge one going straight through the city. So you can do a walk along the river, which will take you past a lot of these other sites as well. We've got the Tower of London, which I've mentioned a few times on Tower Hill. A lot of the ley lines radiate out from here. We've got Westminster Abbey, so definitely on the Coronation Ley line. This is also the centre of the Earth Star chakra. So London is the Earth Star chakra of the planet. That's was sort of explained by Diana Cooper, if you want to look up more about it. And the centre of that is here at Westminster. Westminster Abbey and Big Ben, so Houses of Parliament. Right, we've got St Bride's Church here on Fleet Street, which is on the Strand ley line, which I've already mentioned with the well. St Martin in the Fields Church, that's got a vortex, which I want to tune more into, but there is a definite strong vortex there in the crypt, in the basement. Really nice, strong energy there. Also, while you're there, have a look around Trafalgar Square area, and you can pop into Watkins Bookshop, which is like New Age, astrology, tarot, all these sorts of topics, bookshops. Another suggestion is walking the course of the River Fleet. So it starts up here at Hampstead Heath. This is a map of it, but at this website here, you can get this map and some information about the walk. Next area is Covent Garden. So that's high energy. That's in Westminster. There you can drop into the astrology shop. There's an area called Seven Dials, which is kind of linked in with witchcraft, I believe, and Neil's Yard. So have a walk around there. Lots to see, lots to tune into. There's the Temple area in the City of London. So that's where all the legal stuff is. Only on weekdays the gates are open and you can go into Middle Temple, and it's very quiet, very peaceful, again very high energy. London Mithraeum, so you can visit the Roman Temple of Mithras, which is under one of the modern buildings, and they discovered this when they were building it, and it's been really well preserved. Another one is St Pancras Church up near King's Cross. So I was there recently, so I can vouch for this. Very high energy. There's an interesting church you can go into and visit there, but there was said to have been a Druid temple dedicated to the sun and worship of the sun in what's now the graveyard there. Further out from central London, I've put here Barking Abbey, which was before the dissolution of the monasteries, which was second only in importance to Westminster Abbey. Hampstead Heath, so that's the head of the River Fleet, and there's also Boudicca's Mound, which I've made a separate video on. Visit Greenwich, and you might like to walk through that portal, visit that Roman temple mound. Another place I've been to recently is Shooters Hill and Sevendrew Castle. So the castle's here, it's on a hill, and the view here looking down into London is incredible. So the road going down is the old Watling Street, which was the Roman road and prehistoric track leading into central London. South London has a very different energy, and I recommend visiting this area. And also, if you're down in Kingston looking at the King's Stone, you might want to pop into Wimbledon as well. There's Caesar's Well, which is this, which is a spring near an Iron Age hill fort, which is on a golf course there. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. There's a lot more you can find out about many of these sites. This was just an introduction. I'm no expert. I'm not a historian, but, I have an interest in these topics and wanted to share it. So, London has so much to see and discover. I am still discovering new things and doing more research. Do your own research as well. And do let me know. Let me know in the comments any other sites you recommend visiting or any of these places you go to and what you pick up there. And also, just wherever you are, research your local area. There are ley lines, there are sacred sites, there are vortexes, there is earth energy everywhere, particularly parks and along rivers, forests, hills. So just look around for the signs. One I've noticed in my local park is trees with branches at really odd angles, all pointing in the same direction. So be observant, tune in, see what you can pick up and enjoy. All right, everyone. Thank you for listening.